Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 64 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name is Xander.
And I am Brant.
Everybody, please welcome Brant Meredith from the In My Head YouTube channel to Kiss Army Things. My friend, my brother, how are you this evening?
Man, I'm good. I'm awesome. You know, it's summer starting to wind down on us, but I tell you what, it's awesome. It's still just an awesome opportunity, an awesome time to be on your show. I've been looking forward to being on your show for a while, and I'm looking forward to just sitting down and talking Kiss.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, this has been a long time coming, Brant. You have been wanting to come on my show. I've been wanting to have you on. Today is that day. And so everybody watching, what we're going to be doing is we've each brought with us 5 Kiss songs that we each feel that maybe they didn't translate that well live when Kiss played them. And so we're going to share with you those 5 songs. And then we're going to go back around and we're going to share 5 songs that we did think translated well live and that Kiss should be playing on this End of the Road tour. So you're probably thinking, well, why are you guys doing that for? Well, we're going to explain more on that later. Right now, what I want to know from Brant, since Brant, you're the guest of honor tonight, I want to know what you've been jamming to, what your Kiss spotlight is, and what you want to share with us.
Well, you know, it's September, and I actually have been jamming to here lately. I've been jamming to the solo albums.
Okay.
I probably started just maybe a couple weeks ago. I started playing, I think I was playing Gene's album a little bit, doing a little bit of research for an upcoming video. And then I kind of circled back around and was listening to Peter's because I had done some research. I'd done a video with John B. Good on my channel of Peter's album. And here, like this week, just like starting probably Friday, going into the Labor Day weekend, and I listened to this album, Cutting the Grass, and it just amazes me how well this album is actually made. So the album that I have been jamming to this week, and probably will continue to jam to, is this album right here, the Paul Stanley 1978 solo album. And
Nice.
I was talking with Rick, and we were talking about when you're talking to your wife about the Paul Stanley V-neck or whatever. And I replied to him, and I'm like, yeah, I actually realized that I actually have a Paul Stanley V-neck, and I never realized that I had it. This was in my collection. This is this is the one that I have that I reacquired a few years ago, a couple years ago. It is a cut corner. It's got a small little cut corner here, but it's complete. It's, beautiful. It's got a little bit of a wrinkle right here, but it's complete. It's got the merch form in there. The record sleeve is beautiful. It's not tore up in any way, shape, or form. The album is beautiful.
Nice.
It plays really well, and of course, I'm not going to fold it out, but it's got the poster too, and the poster is in great shape too. So I've been jamming to that, and I figured what I'd do, since I'd show what else I have. I have the German version. It's got the logo. This is the Back to Black series, and it feels pretty heavy. And then I have the 180 gram album, and I'm one of those people that I keep. If I have multiple copies of something, a lot of times I keep them sealed. So those 2 are sealed. And then I bought this a few years ago, and it's a single off the album. It's Hold Me, Touch Me, and then on the back side is Goodbye. And the cool thing about this is I played this because I wanted to see if it would be wore out, because once I opened it up and started taking it out of the liner, I discovered this inside of there. So this actually used to be in a jukebox somewhere.
Oh, wow. That's sweet. I've never seen that.
So it was down inside of here somewhere. It was like when I bought it, I didn't even know it was down in there. So, and I got that for $5. So, not bad, but So yeah, I've really been jamming to Paul's album, and it's amazing. I heard, yeah, I'm still know a phrase from Daphne. She said something in one of the last videos I watched of you guys when she listens to an album. I think it was Carnival of Souls, and she was talking about. She said a phrase that I thought was really neat, and it's the phrase replay value. And Paul Stanley's album has a lot of replay value because there's so many layers to a lot of those songs on that album. And if you listen through it, you can almost listen for something different and hear something different because he was really experimenting with what he was doing, some of the stuff coming off of Love Gun. And his songs are just so well constructed. Some of
Mhm.
them feel like they're a little more rushed than others, even in the production aspect. But it's just an amazing album. It's pretty much I could understand why a lot of people argue that it is the best solo album because even though it is right up there with Aces, I was talking with somebody. We were talking back and forward concerning the albums, and I said to me, it's like Ace's album is like really good fast food. Like
Mm.
if you go somewhere and you get fast food, it is really good fast food. Was it you I was talking to this about?
I don't know, but I like the way it sounds because that
Yeah,
works. Yeah.
Ace's is really good fast food, and Paul's is like really good sit down dining.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a cuisine, like a and but both of them are sometimes you're in the mood for really good fast food, and sometimes you're in the mood for a sit down cuisine, and you get them both with Paul and Ace. I think that's why a lot of people, even myself, kind of go back and forward. You listen to Paul's album, and the more you listen to it, you're like, I think Paul's album might be a little better than Ace's. And then you go listen to Ace's album, you're like, I think Ace's album's better than Paul's. It's like,
Yeah, I love it.
I think they're both amazing albums in their own way, though. So
That's
that's what
fantastic.
I've been jamming on. Is I've been listening to the solo albums, but right now I'm just kind of caught on Paul.
That's awesome. I love Daphne in the last episode was talking about how she hasn't quite gone. She's listened to mostly Paul and Gene's, and she listened to a couple Peter songs and liked it, but isn't really too familiar with Aces. So I said, well, maybe we should do an episode here soon. Since yeah, you're right, it is coming up on the anniversary. I said, well, maybe we should do an episode where I listen to all four and you listen to all four, and I'll give my like not like a veteran, but like I'll give my seasoned Kiss fan experience review, and then you can give your kind of first time listening to them all four. And so she liked that. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. I think Paul and Aces are just objectively better. They're just the songwriting, the musicianship is just it's up there. So I like what you just showed with the vinyl record, the V-neck. I could not tell you because I have like 7 copies of Paul's album, and I have no idea if I have any of the V-neck. But it's funny how there's all kinds of different variations within the Kiss album. So that was really cool. Nice little show and tell there from Brant. Thank you. My Kiss spotlight is actually Hot in the Shade.
Mm.
And I'm surprised it's taken me this long to spotlight Hot in the Shade because it's usually my go-to summer Kiss album. And I think in the last several weeks, I've just been listening to nothing but the 70s. I've been double platinum and, of course, Kiss at the Daisy. So I haven't really been venturing out too far from the 70s. But while we were setting up for the podcast on last week's episode, usually while we're setting up, I'll play, some Kiss music to kind of keep Daphne and I or Jeb and I in the mood, keep the spirits up because it takes a while to set up. But so this past week, I threw on Hot in the Shade. And I was like, man, I have gotten to this album way too late this year because, yeah, to me, it's just the definitive summer Kiss album. Of course, the album cover, Hot in the Shade, with the Sphinx and all that. And what's funny is that I think when I was listening to it, I posted on my story, Hot in the Shade, and then AJ replied, and he said, "Have you ever noticed that? How does the sunglasses stay on when the Sphinx has no nose?" And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, I can't think of a single response. So I think I said, that's a point to ponder, but I could not think of a logistical reason. But that was kind of funny that AJ messaged me that. But so even before this episode, before you and I hopped on, while I was setting up for here, I went ahead and played Hot in the Shade. But so far, I've only heard Hot in the Shade side A twice. So before the next episode, I need to go back and put on side B because I've just been listening to side A of Hot in the Shade. But yeah, I'm surprised it's taking me this long because I love that album. I know for a lot of fans it's kind of divided, but for me, it's just such a fun record. And so at some point, I'm going to have to finish out Hot in the Shade side B. So those that's my Kiss spotlight. Just one this week. Sometimes I get crazy. I come in with 2 or 3. I'm gonna keep it at 1 this time. But now that we're warmed up, I think we can get into the brunt of the episode now. And so, like I said in the beginning, for everybody watching and listening, Brant and I have each brought with us 5 Kiss songs that we feel, because we all know that Kiss is a live band. They sound much better live. They've always proven themselves to be a live band. So we're going to be looking at 5 songs that we think that did not translate well live. And you're probably thinking, well, why are you guys doing that? Well, the first time I was on Brant's channel, we were talking about our favorite official versions of a handful of Kiss songs, and almost all of them ended up being live songs, just because, again, Kiss is a live band. So we thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to look at the songs that Kiss played live that did not translate very well? And then Brant had a good idea afterwards to go all the way around again and come back and talk about 5 songs that did translate well live and songs that they should be playing live on this End of the Road tour. And I thought that was a great idea. That was kind of a last minute suggestion on Brant's end. I thought it was great. I love it. More Kiss talk. Who's going to complain about that? So I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you, Brant. Let's go ahead and just go back. I'm interested to see which ones we have that are the same on both lists. I'm interested to see if we have separate lists or if we have some songs that are the same. So what was the first song that you chose for Kiss's list of songs that did not translate very well live?
I don't know how many songs that me and you might exactly have the same. When I was putting my list together today, I was sitting here and I was trying to get in your head so badly, and I was just like, what is he going to do? What is he going to have? Because I feel like it really would surprise me if you have any of my songs.
Okay, for sure.
It would really surprise me if you do. Because a lot of my songs are actually songs that, I mean, one of them is a song that they still play to this day.
Okay.
And I just never think, to me, now these, like I said, these are my opinion.
Absolutely.
I just think this song has never really translated well live to me. I don't get the same and when I say translate well, do I get a better feeling or a worse feeling than when I listen to the studio version? That's right. That's what I'm listening to. Okay. And I tried to pick songs that I like, because there are some songs I just don't care for live because I might not actually care for the song. And this is a song, my first one is a song that I do like. It's off the album Dynasty, and I do like this song, and they play this song live to this day, but I'm not really a big fan of the song live. Okay. And if they cut it, I really wouldn't care, but I don't see them cutting it because it's the song that Paul flies out to. And it is I Was Made for Loving You.
Okay.
Just not a big fan of the song. I'm not a big fan of the song live. It just doesn't seem to have the same energy that it does on the album. Mm-hmm. And the doo-doos sometimes sound kind of weak. Paul seems to be all over the place in the way that he sings this song sometimes. I don't know. I just think to me, it's just a song that to me just doesn't have the same or better energy as the studio version does. So my first one out of the gate is I Was Made for Loving You.
I can almost agree with that, because I feel like for me, the definitive version was when they played it like on Kiss Alive 3, because that just had so much more, like you said, energy, bombast. Mm-hmm. Those are words that are going to be repeated, I'm sure, this whole episode. So no, I'm with you. It's funny that one of Kiss's biggest songs is the song that gets the biggest, reaction live, but isn't one that a lot of diehards like. I think you are not alone in that, if Kiss fans, if you could take out that song and put in any one of the 5 that are going to be on the next list, we would probably do it in a heartbeat,
But it's their number 1 played song on Spotify. So go figure.
It's bizarre. Now here, now I'll tell you this and tell me what you think. So, because you're correct. It is by far the most streamed song on Kiss's Spotify. And I wonder if that's because whenever you go to Kiss's Spotify, if you hit play, it'll play that song first. I think millions of people have clicked play on Kiss and it plays that song first. I would like to know how many actual streams it has, because I feel like maybe by default it's just the number 1, and then because it keeps getting played, it just keeps going up and up.
It'd be funny to see like a YouTube video where how many of those clicks are still active after 6 seconds.
Bingo. Bingo. I agree. I saw that on Kiss's Spotify and thought, well, I mean, I can see why, because Dynasty was a huge album. It is one of their biggest songs, but I'm thinking, I wonder if it just went to that number one spot
Mhm.
and then just stayed there because everybody kind of keeps clicking on it. But okay, so your first song is I Was Made for Loving You. Now, the reason why I thought that we would have a couple of the same is because on that one episode we did together, I can think of two that we had both agreed on that that maybe Kiss didn't, compared to the studio version, didn't translate well live. So I wonder if those two will be on your list. Actually, here's one of them for me. So this song comes off Psycho Circus, and it's no question what I'm going to say, and it's Within. They've only played it. Brant's already laughing. So they played it only on the Psycho Circus tour. It didn't get played after that. It wasn't played on any cruises. But it's a shame because the studio version was so remarkable in terms of its atmosphere and its vibes, its psychedelic nature. The lyrics were a little bit different than what you would expect from a Kiss song. Of course, the song was left over from Carnival of Souls, and it shows. I like that song. When they played it live, it seemed like, of course, the studio atmosphere isn't there. Gene's vocals sound really cool on the album, but they kind of just sound a little lazy live. The song comes across as, I think, lethargic live, which is a shame because the studio version, even though it is slow and it works in the studio version, but it was a shame that it didn't work live because they only played a few songs from that album live on that tour. Psycho Circus, Within, and then what was the other one? Oh, Into the Void. They played Into the Void, but that was it. So it's kind of unfortunate, but I just think that I don't know. It's kind of hard to pinpoint why, but maybe even on the drums, if you listen to the drums, and I know you're a drummer, so there's a kick drum and a snare, but in between the kick drum and snare, there's a little, and that is missing live. There's no hi-hat live. And so that's just one more layer that's being removed from the studio version. So I always thought it was a shame that it didn't sound that well live because I thought it was cool that it was attempted live. It was a song that my dad always loved on that album, like one of his favorite Gene songs. But once the album got stolen, somebody broke in and stole a bunch of our CDs. But it was funny because years later, he would always say, what was that one Demon song, that one Gene song that I always loved, but I can't think of the name. And then when we bought Kissology Volume 3, they have Dodger Stadium on there. They played Within, and he heard it and immediately was like, that's it. That's the song. So, yeah, I mean, it was still cool that they played it. But, yeah, so that's my number one song, or at least the first song on my list, is Within.
Well, we're going to drop down to 1, 2, 3. The fourth song on my list is Within.
I knew it. I was like, I bet Brant and I both have this because we talked about it already. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
That's
for
funny.
all the same reasons. There's no atmosphere. There's the product. That song is such a production song. You got all that atmosphere, all those effects on Gene's voice and the way he sings it in the studio. Gene don't always sing live the way he sings in the studio. And I wish he did. I wish he at least attempted it because he does on some songs. But Within is one of those songs. It's just like, it just sounds so great on the album. And if you saw this on a set list before you went into a concert, I would be so stoked. I'm like, they're going to play Within. Oh my God. And then when I hear it, I'd be like, maybe they shouldn't have played Within, or should have maybe, added like a pad where they have an effect or whatever, something going in the background, or Gene actually singing the way he sings on the album with that effect on his voice. Something to make it sound a little more like the song. But yeah. So there's one at least.
And the vocals too. I think that, we talk about Gene's vocals, but even like the group vocals. Usually when Kiss, regardless of the lineup, originals, current, 80s, 90s, it's like every lineup of Kiss was so strong vocally. But for some reason on Within, the vocals sound like they're not blending together very well. You got Gene singing low and Paul singing high, and then maybe Ace and Peter kind of somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's just a weird thing how that song did not translate live.
Right. Well, you want me to pull another one off my list, or do you want to go back to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, mine was Within, yours Within. I think we can go back to me. We'll go back to me. And then,
all right, sounds good.
This one may also be on your list. This was the second one I think we may have talked about, so I'll be interested to see if you also included it. But this one they didn't play all that often either, and maybe there's a reason why. But for me, Rise to It was one that, even though it only got played a handful of times on the Hot in the Shade tour, it just never seemed like it was as strong as that studio version. And it very well could be a personal thing because I heard that song Rise to It on day one of being a Kiss fan. The music video was one of the first I ever saw. I still love it to this day. So that studio version has a special place in my heart. And so I can't think of, I think it might have been the Detroit show, one of the Detroit shows on Hot in the Shade that they played that song. It was only a handful of times, but I was glad to hear it live, like watching the video, but it wasn't one that I would like want to make it to a live album. And I hate saying that because it is a top 20 Kiss song of mine, probably. But for whatever reason, them playing it live, it just didn't seem to go as well as, like, say, Hide Your Heart, and Forever were the ones that I think did better live from Hot in the Shade than Rise to It. And it could be because, again, that studio version is so good. That video is very energetic. But the one I wanted to include on this list was Rise to It. So what are your thoughts on that?
I remember that being one of the songs that we agreed on, and I remember thinking that it doesn't have the same energy because it is one of those songs. It's almost like an anthem song once
Mhm.
you get into that chorus. But there's some production there that is hard to pull off live, even with band members like Bruce Kulick and Eric Carr, who are total professionals. It is still kind of hard to pull that off. So yeah, I could get that. I don't have that one on my list,
Okay.
but I could kind of understand that one.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one on my list, I don't know. Wouldn't think that you would have it on your list. Or what I was doing today when I was making my list was I was kind of thinking about songs and looking at Set List FM and looking at songs and then going and thinking, yeah, I think when I've heard this before live, I don't really care for the way that it sounded. It didn't have the same energy. And so my list was kind of random. It started kind of big. And then I started with maybe like 12 songs. And then I started paring it down. And one that I chose, I was kind of toying with the idea of taking it off. And then I decided to leave it on was a song off of Dynasty, another song off of Dynasty, but not a Paul song, but an Ace song.
Hmm.
I personally don't think that the song Talk to Me translated very well live.
Okay.
Off the Dynasty tour. If you go back and you listen to that, a lot of Ace's songs, they translate well live, but Talk to Me, I just don't think did. It didn't have the same energy as the studio version. And I don't think it would have been because of a production value or anything, because it's not one of those songs that has a bunch of crazy production to it. But I just don't think that the band cohesively pulled it off very well because on Dynasty, it wasn't those guys that originally played it. It was basically Ace and Anton. And then you've got, Gene and Paul and Peter playing this song that they didn't play on in the studio. I don't think they did, but there was a lot of songs off the solo albums and stuff like that. They didn't translate very well. Some better than others, but so yeah, I just thought that Talk to Me didn't seem to have the same vibe as the album version.
Was Talk to Me Dynasty or Unmasked?
Talk to Me was
I think it
Talk to
might
Me
be
was
Unmasked.
Unmasked. It was
It was
Unmasked.
Unmasked. Okay, for sure. Yeah,
Thank you for correcting me.
Oh yeah, no
Everybody's
problem.
screaming at the stage. But see, Unmasked and Dynasty are two of those songs, two of
They're
those
very close.
albums. They're so close to, they're almost like Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun.
Yeah,
Sometimes I get confused which songs are on which because they're so much in the same vein of each other.
that's so true. That's so true. And yeah, I would have to go back and listen to the one because they did play that on the Unmasked tour in I think like Sydney, Australia. I think it's on
hmm
Kissology. Um,
hmm
I was actually okay with the version that came out on the Tokyo off the soundboard. I thought like because I was kind of thinking like you, like yeah, that song is okay, it's better on the studio. But when I heard the '01 version, I was like, this sounds a lot better to me. Did you have any thoughts on the '01 version?
I didn't get to listen to the '01 version. I think the video I went back and referenced was probably from Sydney. So
Hmm.
the '01 version, it could be better.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that was, I think we're on number 3 now.
Yep.
Or is it? Yeah, number 3. This one's kind of a low blow. Actually, all 3 of these next ones are going to be low blows, but hey, it is what it is. So for this one, I'm choosing another one off Psycho Circus. I pledge allegiance to the state of rock and roll. Now, this one only got played a few times on the Rock the Nation tour when they were in, I think, Australia for Rock the Nation before they came to the States. And I always thought, because Psycho Circus was the first Kiss album that Jeb and I ever heard, and it, along with Raise Your Glasses and Within, but Raise Your Glasses and I Pledge Allegiance were the two that were just, to me, I can't even think of the word to describe it. I guess Bombastic is another one, but they were just such good songs
Hmm.
that it always bothered me that they never played I Pledge Allegiance live. And when I found out that they did a couple times on the Rock the Nation tour, I went and like listened to those. There's a couple videos on YouTube. I know there's some other soundboards that have leaked, or no, they actually did release those officially on the Rock the Nation tour. Anyway, but I guess the excitement that I had to listen to it wasn't met when I heard it, and it may have been one of those things again where the studio version was just something special about that
Hmm.
studio version. But yeah, it just didn't seem like Paul's vocals were quite as strong. Maybe it was because he was running around on stage out of breath already. But I guess I just wasn't excited to hear the live version as I thought I would be hearing it. So that's one that I'm going to put on this list because even though I wanted it to have been played live more, perhaps I can see why not. I don't even know how do you like that song at all, studio or otherwise?
I
Okay.
love Pledge Allegiance to the State. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a long title. It's hard to say sometimes, but it's a great song, and it was just a shame that I'm glad they tried it. I don't know if it was an Eric or Tommy thing, like, hey, why don't we try this song? I'm not
Hmm.
sure whose idea it was, but I'm glad it happened. But yeah, I think that I would much prefer the studio version over that. So yeah, just is what it is, but still a good song nonetheless. I love it.
Hmm. They were doing that a lot with Rock the Nation tour. They had their set list was all over the place,
Mm.
and they even talked about in the video how they talked about how they would practice songs and they'd be like, "Hey, well, hey, we know how to play this. Let's throw it in the set." And they did that with a lot. They that was such a diverse set list, but I could see. I need to look that up because I don't think I've ever heard the live version of that. I need to look that up because I do love that song, but I can see how that song wouldn't translate well live. That is like very much a studio song because
Yeah.
you got some of the things you just wouldn't. I wouldn't see it translating well live. Those little whole yeah, yeah, where it's multiple Paul overdubs doing that part. And then when you get into that chorus, it's just that bombastic Paul singing up here. And you gotta be able to push that. Otherwise, you just sound like you're you got to be able to push that. And Paul
Yeah.
still did have a good voice during that time, so he
Yeah.
could have probably done it. But even on the album, that's multiple Pauls singing that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely need to go look that up because I'm glad that they tried it, and I will probably maybe later on give you maybe send you a message about what I think about it.
Cool. I would like that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right.
But
What you
yeah,
got?
okay. My next one is it's kind of a little bit of a low blow too, because I love this song and I love. I used to. Well, I've never loved hearing this song live, and it isn't because the way that they perform it live. Paul ruins this song for me. He has ruined this song for me since day one, since the Creatures tour. He has ruined this song for me, and and every time they play this song, he continues to ruin this song for me. And it is, but I love the song until it gets to a certain point in the song, and then I pretty much have to cut it and stop it because I can't go on anymore. So I cannot finish this song live, and that is "I Still Love You."
Oh
Um,
wow. Okay.
they're great up to the point where Paul gets to "was to oh 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 oh," and I have to be like, I can't take it. I have to cut it.
Gotcha.
Um, Up to that point, though, it's amazing. I think But it's also a song that I've heard people say, and I kind of agree with because I have such a love for this song. Is that I could see this song being a buzzkill in a live show. You see it on Animalized, the Animalized Live and Uncensored. It kind of they got the crowd hyped and everything, and then they break into "I Still Love You," and they have to maybe use some alternative shots of the band because it's funny to see because he's playing "I Still Love You," and he's playing this love song, and they cut to the fans, and the fans are like, it's like, no, you're not. You're not doing that.
That's B-roll. That's great.
You got some good B-roll going there. People, yeah, you're not doing that during "I Still Love You."
No.
So, yeah, no, not at all. But
That
it is a
funny.
great song. But I think it's a live buzzkill. But Paul seems to love it, and I love it too. But I just don't really like to hear it. I don't like to hear it live.
For sure, that's interesting because I think for me, okay, I agree with you on the live buzzkill. I never even thought about that until now, but you're totally right. Imagine being at a Kiss show where it's like it's all about living life and being happy and Detroit Rock City and Love Gun and all these songs, and then it's about losing someone you love, and it's really slow and somber. So I could totally see that. For me, the live definitive version was Kiss Unplugged because I felt like maybe in that atmosphere it worked a little better. And it's funny that you mentioned the whole Paul and the "I still," because at least the unplugged version, I actually like that just because he's like flexing a little bit, flexing his vocal muscles. But no, it's funny how that's a little bit of a divided thing because I have heard other people say this exact same thing, that it's just too much, it's over the top, and that song just isn't that great live. So I can agree with some of those points you made for sure.
Yeah, he doesn't do it as bad on Unplugged. And the thing about Paul is I love Paul. I love Paul dearly. But a lot of times Paul has a tendency to take something that would be, and this is multiple things done during the show. It can be Paul can take something that's a good thing that would be a better thing if it was in a smaller dose. A lot of the embellishing that he does throughout a concert, a lot of the raps that he does throughout a concert, and singing singing the name of the city over and over, and going into the multiple gymnastics of the notes.
Yeah.
And like the thing that during 100,000 years, where it seems to get longer and longer and longer. Sometimes he does things that are good, but he just like does too much of things that are good, and then they become maybe not as good, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, he definitely tones it down for "I Still Love You" on Unplugged.
For sure. This next one I may get in trouble. So we'll see what happens because this one's going to be a shocker to some people. So this is one that they are also playing to this day, and I don't hate it, but I just think that "Calling Dr. Love" does not sound as good as that studio version. You're wearing the shirt, Rock and Roll Over. It's a top tier album, 10 out of 10. A lot of those versions are just too hard to beat. And Dr. Love is one of them. There's just something about that opening riff and the cowbell, Gene's vocal delivery. Again, it's a studio magic song, and it goes against completely what we think about Kiss. They're always a live band. But this episode is to look at some of the studio tracks that maybe did outshine the live versions. And this is another one for me. I think you said it best talking about Firehouse. You said Firehouse is one of those songs that if it's played too slow or too fast, you kind of lose that groove, you lose that vibe. And for me, this song is like that too, where, on the Creatures of the Night tour and even some of the 80s, they were playing super fast. Even back in the 70s, they were playing super fast. And then today, it almost seems like it's a little too slow.
Right.
I don't know. It's kind of odd how that works. But yeah, so if I had to choose a fourth song that just didn't, for me, translate well live, I would say Dr. Love. And I know that it's a great Kiss song. It's beloved. I love it. But I'm always just really impressed with that studio version. And I don't know who it is in the background. It always to me sounded like Ace singing, but there's like some kind of like weird vocal effects happening in the background, like Dr. Love. I can't do it, so I'm not going to try.
Yeah.
But the way it sounds, it's just one of those things that you can only get in the studio.
Totally. I totally agree with that too. And I love the version that's on Rock and Roll Over. I love even more the version that's on Double Platinum. I
Yeah,
love where they
yeah.
fade in that calling Doctor Love, and then that guitar comes in and
Oh
then it
yeah.
hits. I love that. That's one of the things on Double Platinum to me that they did right. A lot of people they don't like the way they butchered some of the songs on Double Platinum and stuff, but I do think that that's one of the things that they did do right on that album. It's great. It's probably
Oh.
my and the thing about Doctor Love is I love the Double Platinum version. But what
Mm.
I also love is when it comes to live, is I really love the version that's on Alive 2. Alive 2 is probably as close to as the version on the album to me. But once you get past that, I agree with you. They either play it too slow, too fast. Sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's got the soul that it has off of those two albums.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I like what you said about Double Platinum too. Double Platinum has some really good stuff on it. I love Firehouse and the '78
Mhm.
version of Strutter. Double Platinum is amazing. Okay, well, hopefully nobody's too mad at me for saying Dr. Love, but there's my number four.
I'm not mad at you about it. You're saying what you feel, what you think, at least. I'm not mad about
Yep,
it.
for sure. All right, what you got for us?
Well, this may be the one that gets people mad at me. It's not an old school song. This is a song that it's a newer Kiss song, not new, but it's not old.
Okay.
um, but this is a song that every time I hear it, and they don't play it very often, but every time I heard it done live, this is one that Gene always seemed to mess up for me.
Hmm.
And it what I don't not like about this song is it's not the music, it's not the energy of the song, it's not the musicianship of the song that's done live. It's that Gene just can't seem to remember the stinking words. And he
Classic.
botches the words almost every single time I've ever saw him do this song. Um, if you know of a good version of him actually singing the correct words,
Okay.
please let me know because I want to see it because I want to enjoy this song. That he starts off somewhere, he might get it right, and then somewhere he botches the words. And it's not, I love it loud because he does it to those all the time too. It's not that one. It is unholy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Unholy, he botches the words so bad, and the words to unholy are so awesome. Just all the imagery that he has in that song, and he even sings it the right way. He'll get down in that guttural, the one that rolls through your brain. He even, but it's he. I've heard him start the song off going, "I am the incubus." I'm like, no, no, you're. That is not the opening line to this song, Gene.
Oh, that's funny. That is so funny.
So, yeah, I look for a good version of it, and hopefully I'll find one. But
For sure. Yeah, if I come across one, I'll send it your way. That's
if
funny
you
though.
if you come across one where he sings the right words, um, but I love Unholy. Unholy is one of my favorite Gene songs. It's one of my favorite Demon songs. Soft Revenge. So I
Absolutely.
mean, enough said. It's off Revenge.
Yeah, facts.
But he just. I was watching a version of Rock the Nation earlier today, and he botched it in it. I'm sitting here
Hmm.
going, Gene, they're recording this.
They're recording this. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah,
Get
you're
that
right.
man, get that man a teleprompter.
For real. Get somebody get Doc McGee or Keith Leroy with cue cards and have him do the cue cards. It's like, come on, man. Oh boy.
Yeah,
Gene's notorious for that.
he
Missing
is.
those lyrics. Oh goodness
He
gracious.
is.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna round off my this list with a newer Kiss song, "Shock Shock," because I know that I'm always the one that's touting the newer Kiss lineup. But I'll be honest, when they attempted "Samurai Son," it was awful. It was awful, and I don't know if you can think back to in
Mm.
2016 when they tried that in Japan. I think they did maybe 3 times, and it was. I mean, people have been talking about Paul lip syncing this past 3 years. What happened in 2016 was atrocious because he was singing live to his vocal track. So there was 2 Paul Stanleys that you heard live, one real quiet up top and then him singing, and they had to match Eric's drums, using a click track with the extra production that you heard in Samurai Sun. And I was like, well, good job, boys, for playing that song live to your Japanese audience. It was a huge hit for them in Japan, and that's great, but could have been maybe rehearsed a little bit more, or if you felt like you had to use tracks, maybe it was a good idea not to sing it live. But I noticed that when they admitted it on Twitter, they said, hey, we use track. I think Paul said, yeah, we use tracks. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't comfortable singing that song, so I wanted to have some help. Whatever, that's all good and fine. But
right.
I noticed that the last time they played it, they actually played it without the track and without the extra production coming out over the PA system. And it was just the music and just Paul, and it was way better. I said, you guys should have just done that from the get-go. And of course, they're thinking that they wanted to play it safe and have all the extra tracks. But I was like, man, you guys aren't really doing you guys any favors with this new song and playing it live. And now it's making its rounds on the internet, for you guys singing with tracks and, botching it. So for as much as I liked the song, and the studio version did have some extra really cool production that you'll never hear in any other Kiss song, it should have just stayed in the studio. It was unfortunate, or just do it live and don't try and play it safe. But yeah, so could it be a low blow? Sure, but I'm still going to be honest when I say that Samurai Sun was not one that sounded very good live.
No, I've never heard it. I've never heard it live. I might have to chase it down and give it a listen.
Save yourself 5 minutes now.
I'm not a big fan of the song to begin with. I mean, I appreciate that they did it for Japan. I know they're huge in Japan, and they did it with that band. And I, like I said, I appreciate when Kiss tries something and creates something for a market base that's not just us, or even a country that's not just us. I mean, I appreciate that they do that. But it's just, I listened to the song, I reviewed it, I think, with my son, and I just wasn't a fan. So
for sure. Yeah, it wasn't any good live either.
Amazing imagery in the video. I enjoyed the video.
The video is so cool.
I kind of wish Kiss would have done some of videos like Ace Frehley did, some animated videos, some more of those for like just normal songs. I know that they did some lyric videos and stuff like that, and they've done some cool videos like 3D videos with Psycho Circus, but I wish they would have done a little more. I'm still one of those people that wishes that we would get, at least maybe 1 or 2 more songs out of Kiss before they hang it up.
Yeah,
I would love that. I'd love it.
I was hoping and praying that there would just be one single, like one single that they released for Spotify for End of the Road, and that they added in the set list, and just gave us Kiss fans one last jam, one last anthem.
Yep.
I still hope it could happen, but at this point,
it still could happen.
It still could happen.
It would be nice if they package up End of the Road, if they package it up and they use different songs from different dates from different cities that they played throughout the whole. It's not like one show from one place or one time, where they make it kind of like a time capsule of songs from different parts of the tour, different locations, different dates, and then slap a Never Before Heard on there. Slap a one last final goodbye to the fans, and one last anthem, see you later. Thanks for rocking with us for all these years, for 50 years. I
totally agree.
I think they could do it. If they wanted to, they could do it.
Absolutely. If I woke up tomorrow and there was a new Kiss single, I mean, maybe some fans wouldn't be interested, but I know me, you, and several other of our Kiss friends, we would be all right back here on the podcast going, dude, you hear the new Kiss song? I can't believe it. First song. And, at this point, it's been longer than the gap between Psycho Circus and Sonic Boom, which was like 11 years. I think we're pretty much at the same length, if not more, which is ridiculous to think about, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But what is the 5th song you'd like to share with us?
Let's see. Let me look at my list and let's see which ones I've already talked about. I've said my 5. Yeah, because one of them was the same as yours. One of them was with him.
That's right. Okay, for sure. So now it's time for us to go back around and share the songs that we think that do translate well live, and songs that Kiss should be playing on this tour that they're not. And so, do you want to kick us off with this list, Brant?
Yeah. Now this list is going to sound very obscure. But what I did was I also gave notations of when they have done these, that they did these. A lot of these, I think, let me see. Yes, every single one of these have been done with the current lineup, so it could be done.
Nice. Love it.
These are not Ace Peters. A lot of these are a couple of these are could be Ace Peter songs, um, but they have been done with the current lineup. So
Okay.
my first one is that I would, if they started that opening chord of this song, it's a song that I'm more likely at this point to hear during sound check.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if they started this and it and it and it
Mm. Dun, dun.
I would lose my freaking mind
I
if they
would
did
too.
this. They did it during Rock the Nation. Love Her All I Can. Such an amazing song.
Oh,
Such an
I
amazing
totally
song.
agree. They did it on the couple Kiss cruises, I think, as well.
Mhm.
I was hoping that they would play it on the when Rob and I were in Dayton. I was hoping that they would play that because ever since they started playing it in the acoustic sets, I was like, "Oh, please, guys! Just I
Yeah.
know nobody would love it except for me and maybe a few other people in the crowd, but to hear that live, I agree. They every time that they do it live, it's great.
Listening to some of these songs on my list are like songs that we very well could hear during our sound check. And I know we're just going to be a bunch of guys. They're just going to be jumping up and down all over each other, like, "Oh my God, they're playing
Oh
such and
yeah,
such." It's just going to be, it's going to be awesome. So it made me definitely start looking forward to, not that I wasn't already, but it's made me realize we're getting closer and closer to Rosemont, and it
yeah,
made me really start looking forward to it. But yeah, love
absolutely.
her all I can, man.
That's
That's my
awesome.
wish list. I wish that was in the primary, in the main set.
Yeah, for sure. Mine is also a 70s track. It's a little less obscure than that one, but it's one that they don't really play in the main set and haven't for a long time, and that's I Stole Your Love.
Oh,
At this point, I'm pretty picky about what I want as the opener because,
mhm.
Detroit Rock City sounds so good as the opener right now, and it has this whole tour. Deuce, I think, was a great opener in the beginning, but I don't think that opening guitar riff is as immediate and punchy and strong as the one for Detroit Rock City. You know what I mean? King
Mhm.
of That Time World was also a great opener, but again, that opening, that bend, it's not as immediate and punchy as say I Stole Your Love or Detroit Rock City. So I would love for Kiss if you heard, you wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest band in the world, Kiss, dun, 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 like 77
Yep.
all over again,
Yep.
and they came down on the pods to those. I mean, it would be like a 77, flashback. You blink and it's like, man, what is this? It's like because they've played that on the Kiss Cruise in the both the Sail Away shows, Electric Unmasked, and the Masked Electric shows on the Kiss Cruise, and it sounds great both times. And so I know it's one that is it as popular as Detroit Rock City? No, but it would be as punchy and as amazing as that would be live. So I would love to see I Stole Your Love live.
Did you like whenever they did, because it has a little bit of a punchy beginning. Did you like when they was doing Love Gun as the opener, like they did with Rock the Nation? Did you like that?
Not as much, no. Even though it is iconic, for some reason, "Love Gun" to me, that's the song that Paul should fly out on. I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe it's just, and that to
right.
me at this point, that's just the one that Paul flies out on. I think it works best towards the end of the set, 2/3 of the way. A song like "Love Gun" maybe is a little too special to hear as the opening, but I mean, if they did it, I can't complain if Kiss is going to change their set list. So
Right, right.
I wouldn't complain that much. But no, I didn't care for it as much because I know that I think it was the Crazy Nights tour, they also played Love Gun as the opener. And both times it was wild hearing it. So do I respect them for doing it? Yes. But would I want them to again? No.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're always going to have Love Gun in the set. I think that that's hands down Paul Stanley's favorite song. I think it's been in the set list ever since the Love Gun album came out.
Probably. Yeah. Probably. I
um,
bet you're right.
my next song that I wish I did five. My next song that I wish would be in the set now. They did it during the Sonic Boom tour. From Gene, I would love to hear "I'm an Animal" in,
Mm,
because it is one of those songs that does translate very well. I think it does.
yeah, I
And
agree.
I think it would be the demon song. I would love sacrilege, and people are going to throw stuff at their screens right now. Replace God of Thunder with I'm an Animal. I mean,
Okay, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, again, if Kiss wants to change it up, change it up. That'd be great because you're right. It sounded so good on the Sonic Boom tour.
yeah, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Um, that's also a Sonic Boom song. I didn't include any songs from either Sonic Boom or Monster, so that was a good choice there, Brant. The one I chose for my second one is actually Watching You. Now,
Nice.
I was gonna say Parasite, but I talk about Parasite too much on this show, and I've already actually seen Parasite live on this tour. So I thought, well, what's one that they're not playing in the main set that absolutely should be? And for me, it's Watching You because it gets played on the Kiss Cruise. You'll see it on the Kiss Cruise.
Hmm.
Um, that's about it, though. I feel like it hasn't really been in the main set list probably since Alive 35 when they were doing the whole Celebrate Kiss Alive thing. You had songs like Parasite and Watching You in the set continuously every night. I want to go back to those days because
Hmm.
I think Ace just wrote a mother effer of a riff on both those songs. They're fantastic. I know Watching You was like one of the first probably 10 Kiss songs ever written. And I mean, that's a masterpiece of a song. Those riffs are absolutely infectious. And I know that Kiss has been really good at, like, over the past 20 years, they have really perfected their set list to appeal to all generations and all people. And, it's a very calculated thing. And I get that. I love it. And I respect that. But I would also like to see them put in some of these songs that we all know and love. They translate well live, but maybe they aren't the singles or they aren't the classics. I think Watching You at this point is like a forgotten classic.
Hmm.
You would hear it on Alive 35. I mean, they would play it on all the tours in the 70s. It was played on the Revenge tour, but man, it hasn't been played live in a main set list in a really hot minute. And it's like,
Hmm.
I know that fans or people in the crowd hearing it, they wouldn't readily go, "Oh yeah, that's Love Gun." Shout out loud, all those songs they know. But you still, I think, would want to play songs where it's like, "Hey, whoa, what's this song?
Hmm.
What's the name of this? What album did this come off of?" You know what I mean? I've never heard this song before. So I feel like if people have never heard Watching You and they played Watching You live, it would like catch somebody's attention. Say yeah, maybe not, but Watching You, that riff, and there's some cowbell in there. You got some Gina
Hmm.
Paul doing lead vocals, kind of depending on what version they're doing. They usually will sing dual vocals, and so I think that the Kiss set list needs that. It needs a kick in the pants, and Watching You would be the one to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love Watching You. That would be a very welcome. That would be a very welcome addition. I don't have it on my list, but I have a song that's in that same vein. It's kind of
Hmm.
funny you mentioned Watching You, because my next song on my wish list that they also done during Rock the Nation is She.
Can I make amends to my list real quick? Because you're 100% right. She belongs. Oh my gosh, I love that song.
She is so good, and they on Rock the Nation, they kill it. They kill it on that on that DVD. If you don't have the DVD, you can go on YouTube and watch it. They kill it. Like they.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was one of the only versions from Virginia Beach that made it to the DVD, if I'm not mistaken. And so listening to I guess one of the only tracks I like off Virginia Beach is because it sounds just as good as the DVD version. But I'm with you,
Mhm.
man. That song, I think they play it also on the Kiss Cruise. It's like that's great, but let's put it back in the main set. Let's get some of these 70 songs back in the set list.
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially because it comes with the jam at the end. That na na
Hmm.
na 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 na. I have
Hmm.
never heard that live, and it's a
Oh,
shame.
that'd be
I
awesome.
and I just think it's such a classic. I know it's Peter and Ace, but
Hmm.
yeah, it sounded good with Tommy and Eric. I liked it, and
They
Tommy and
they
Eric,
they did
they're
a good
Kiss fans.
job.
They've been listening to that since '75 too, so it's like that would be
Hmm.
beneficial for everybody. I think.
Hmm.
So I'm with you, man.
I'll tell you something that I did that kind of spawned this list and made me want to kind of do this about adding songs back in. Where I got the inspiration from was yesterday and today. I've kind of been listening to. I think I listened to Sonic Boom, the Sonic Boom tour. Um, I listened to it yesterday while I was cutting grass, and I listened to Rock the Nation,
Mm,
the DVD, the 2 hour long DVD. I listened to it today in the background while I was working, and I was making like some mental notes and jotting down on a piece of paper, and writing stuff down and crossing stuff out because I wanted to keep my list kind of small.
mm,
Um, but I'll be honest, I had a note down here at the very bottom of my wish list. I'm going to go ahead and say it now, but my takeaway from my wish list is I miss the Rock the Nation and the
mm,
Sonic Boom tours, because those are two tours I did miss because I was setting it out,
mm,
because I had such a stigma towards the two new guys in the band coming off of, Ace and Peter being back out of the band again after the reunion and the farewell, that even though these tours took place a few years apart from each other, and a few years removed from Ace and, well, Peter leaving the band, it's just Ace and, or Gene and Paul didn't renew his contract, so Eric stayed in the band, and so you had Eric and Tommy, and they did the Rock the Nation tour, in 2004,
mm.
2004, something like that. It's
Yep.
hard to believe that tour is almost 20 years
I know.
old.
It's crazy.
And I was listening to it today, and I was listening with my ears and not my
Hmm.
eyes. I was listening with my ears and not my eyes, and I would flip over every once in a while just to see. And dude, solid, just as good. And you're going to really get some stuff thrown at the screen, just as good as some of the vintage stuff. Just as good,
Yeah.
just as good. Especially Rock the Nation. Just that whole set list, that very diverse set list that they had on during the Rock the Nation. That's one that I really hate that I missed. I wish I would have. They came to Charlotte, and I remember when they came, and I was like, I ain't gonna go see the new guys, and got rid of Ace and Peter. Screw them. So, so, um, but but yeah. So I think my one was She. I've got a couple
She.
more. I don't know how many more you got. I got a couple more.
After this, so I have three more.
Okay.
So I chose five as well.
Okay.
And the third one I chose, this might come as a surprise to some people. We'll see. But the third one I chose was Take It Off from Revenge. And this one was not on my list originally, but I was actually kind of doing what you were doing. You were going back and kind of checking out a few different things. Like you said, I think Rock the Nation,
Mm-hmm.
Sonic Boom. I was doing some Kiss Cruise stuff and looking at the stuff that they played there that they haven't played in a while. And I can't think if it was Kiss Cruise 9 or 10 or whatever it was, but they played Take It Off on one of the most recent Kiss Cruises in the last few years. And it wasn't one that I expected, because usually when they do a Kiss Cruise, you can kind of predict what they're going to do. If they're going to do a Creatures theme, then you can kind of narrow down what they're going to do. But I was like, I don't know what they're going to do on this cruise. And so I'm sitting there refreshing the page, and here comes Take It Off. And I haven't heard it in a while. So the other day I played it for the first time in forever. And I was like, man, this could be in the current set list, because I mean, you think about the Revenge lineup. I love the Revenge lineup, and it was Gene, Paul, Eric, and Bruce, and we're only one member shy away from being the
Mm-hmm.
Revenge lineup. And so I was like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
we're pretty close to the Revenge lineup right now. And they played that song really well on the Kiss Cruise. Of course, it was Kevin Valentine that played that studio version, but Eric was the guy playing it on tour. Tommy does a great job at assimilating and picking up those things that maybe he didn't play on, but can still play. And so if they put Take It Off in the set list, I don't know how many other fans would or other folks in the crowd would receive it, but I tell you what, I would lose my mind if they played that. I was really surprised with how good it sounded on the Kiss Cruise.
Yeah, I would love it. I love Take It Off. If they busted those suspended notes out that they start playing at the very beginning of that, they busted that out with
Oh,
Eric just playing that simple beat. I would love it. By the time they broke into that, I'd be hopping up and down, dude.
oh yeah, I'd be topless. No, but like, but it was kind of weird watching it on the Kiss Cruise and not having strippers come out and play on stage. So that would be
Right.
one thing we wouldn't get in 2023. But I can deal without that, because musically that song sounds just chef's kiss, perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
So that's my number 3 for this list.
My next one, I'm kicking it back old school, kicking it back quite a bit. But this has been done with the current lineup, and I think it'd be awesome if they threw it back in. And that is "Got to Choose."
Okay, okay, I like it.
It is a little bit of a slower song. They'd have to be careful where they place it, maybe mid set.
Hmm.
You can get away with your slower songs in the middle of the set. You want it amped up at the beginning. You can go into a little bit of a settling in and just playing some stuff. And I think maybe when they're playing, if they're going through a period in the set where they're playing some of the older songs, slide "Got to Choose" in. And
Absolutely.
so I know they do it during sound checks. So it's a song that they could put in the set if they felt like they wanted to.
Absolutely. That's also one from Alive 35 that was there on Alive 35, and then ever since then, it's just been almost like a forgotten classic. That's
Mm-hmm.
another good one. I was going to say something else. Oh, you know what's funny about Got to Choose? That it used to be, for whatever reason, when I was a kid, that was always the song that I would say was my least favorite Kiss song. And
Really?
I don't know why I ever said that, because in '08 there was some footage that I think it's still on YouTube. It was the current lineup. They were in, I think, maybe Australia or someplace, and they were doing sound check rehearsals, and somebody had a camera rolling, and they released what looked like near pro shot footage of Kiss playing "Got to Choose" during sound check. And hearing and seeing that version, I thought there is no way this can be my least favorite Kiss song, because musically it is so interesting. Maybe it's just the production hotter than hell, but "Kiss Alive" sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
"Alive 35" sounds great. I can't
Mm-hmm.
imagine how it would sound on "End of the Road." I would love to
Yeah.
hear that. That'd be a welcome addition.
Rock the Nation sounds really good. They sound really good on it. Tommy nails the solo.
Mm,
They sound good with the harmony vocals on that baby. Ba-na-na. And then Paul still had a great voice during that time. And I actually like the speed that they play it on Rock the Nation. I
mhm.
think that on Hotter Than Hell, yeah, it has its questionable production qualities. But I think on Hotter Than Hell, it's actually almost a little bit too slow. They
Mhm.
speed it up just a little bit on Rock the Nation, and it has this better groove to it.
Okay, for
Um,
sure.
that da na ba na ma, it just has a better groove. I think it sounds like I said. I've listened to a couple versions. I went and I went on set list. I'm like, okay, what tours did they play this on later on? Of course, it's on Alive. It sounds great on Alive.
Oh yeah.
Sounds great on Rock the Nation. I listened to a couple other places where they played it. Doesn't get played a whole lot, but I listened to a couple places. We'll look at YouTube videos, and they play it pretty well, pretty consistently. So yeah, I think it's one of those that it'd be easy for them to pull off.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
think they just may be concerned about the energy level of the crowd because it's not a big fist pumping song. Like I said, you wouldn't want to stick it in too early prematurely, and you wouldn't want to stick it too close to the end either.
No.
Once you start building up for that encore and the end of the show, so right in the middle would be a good place to stick it.
I would like to hear "She" and "Got to Choose" back to back. Maybe that would work. I think if you got to choose and then "She," I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure, but that's two good choices from you there. So my number four is, so I've done '70s and '90s, so I'm gonna do an '80s song, and the one I think that they should be playing on this End of the Road tour is "Creatures of the Night." They played
Oh,
it on Kiss Rocks Vegas, and I saw them in 2014 on the fourth anniversary tour, and they did not play that song. But when they went to Vegas and did the residency, all of a sudden it was in the song. It was one of the
mhm,
first songs live. It's on side A of Rocks Vegas, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this sounds so good. It's so fast. It's so heavy. I like my Kiss to have a little meat on their bones. So
mhm,
songs like Creatures of the Night, and you mentioned Unholy. I love Unholy. So those, faster, grittier songs. I think Creatures is a song that showcases every single member of the band.
mhm.
Paul's energy levels, Gene's bass, and of course he gets real involved physically on stage, and then Eric's drumming is just immaculate. I think Tommy does a very good job of bringing that solo and bringing that song up to date in a modern sense. I was just real impressed with how they played it on Rocks Vegas, and I thought, man, how much better would it sound on this final tour, where you have people coming to these shows who maybe they're like me and have seen Kiss a bunch. Maybe they're like you and they haven't seen Kiss in a while, or maybe they're fans and people who haven't seen Kiss at all. And it's like, well, that would be a song that everybody could benefit from. Is it one of their most well-known songs? No, I think "I Love It Loud" is the one from that album, and
Mhm.
"War Machine." and War Machine too. But Creatures is just, I don't know. There's something about it. It's the double bass drumming. It's the blistering solo. It's, Paul's energy level. I just want to hear that song live so bad. And I haven't heard it live before. So that'd be a real treat for me if it was to somehow miraculously make its way into the set list in these last 30 shows. But Creatures of the Night, that's my 80s choice for this list.
It's sad that Creatures is becoming a forgotten gem.
Yeah.
When it used to be such a highlight in the show, and that it's becoming, through the 80s, that it's becoming a forgotten gem, because it's just as good as I Love It Loud. It's just as good as War Machine. And it deserves to be in the set with, those songs as well. My last one, I stayed old because I guess, like I said, Rock the Nation really, really kind of kept me going on a lot of these songs. And this one, I would, if they started this, if this riff started, if I was sitting there and Paul's like, "We're gonna pull out an old one for you now," and then he walked over and he's like, "Tommy, take it," and Tommy started, spread his legs out, did his stance, and went. They broke into Parasite.
Oh, game over, man.
Forget it. Forget it. That group, everything from the group vocal to the riff to the solo, Parasite's just so great.
Totally
it's one of those songs that modern fans need to hear. Fans coming to these shows, they need to hear. If they've never heard Parasite before, they need to hear it.
I totally agree. Those songs, watching you and Parasite both, I think musically can still compete, even in this modern era where rock and roll maybe isn't quite as, at the forefront of mainstream music. An infectious riff is an infectious riff. I don't care who you are, man. And yeah, I'm with you. Those Parasite, as soon as you hear that riff, it's like you're in the mode, you're in the zone. Of course, you're a drummer, so the drums are just absolutely blistering.
Right.
But you mentioned not seeing either Rock the Nation or Sonic Boom. I, too, missed both those tours. Rock the Nation, I just didn't even know that they were coming around. And then when they did Sonic Boom Over Europe tour, they just didn't come to our state. So I actually had to wait until the hottest show on their tour. But by then, Parasite and Watching You had been dropped. And so the only time I've seen Parasite live was in Fort Wayne in 2020. And they played it for maybe that show, maybe another one. And I was so blessed to have heard it because I think it's one that should be in every set. I'm with you. It's heavy, it's fast, it's groovy. It's just perfect song. So I'm with you. Parasite. So my last song is another one more from the 90s. And I'm almost debating it now because you mentioned Gene and his inability to memorize lyrics. So this is one that Gene would have to rehearse a few extra times for, but they could still do it. And that's Domino. Every time Domino gets played live, whether it was on the Alive 3 Revenge Tour or they even did it, I think, acoustically sometimes, played Domino on the Unplugged and Convention Tour. But I know that that's one that would sound good today because Gene's vocals are still very strong. I know Eric has played that with Bruce's band and done some solo shows. I've heard Eric play that song, so I know he knows that song. Tommy, I'm sure, has played that song and could learn it. And so I think that if it was to be put back on the set list, again, I'm not sure how the crowd would, they probably wouldn't freak out when they heard it, but I feel like it'd be one of those songs where it's like, man, what album is that off of? I gotta go back and hear that one. I like it on Revenge. I like it on a Live 3. So it'd be interesting to hear how that one would sound in 2023. There is really, I can't think of the last time Kiss themselves played it, but I'm willing to bet that it'd be good as long as Gene rehearses the lyrics a few more times. Because that was always one that he butchered too. Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's my 5.
That's my 5 too.
Perfect. I love it. That was great. That was so fun. Thank you for adding that on there. You were the one that kind of said, hey, why don't we add 5 more songs and we'll kind of, take it from negative into a positive. So that was a good idea, Brant. And if I'm not mistaken, do you have something to show us today?
The only thing that I have, I've been on doing some auctions and my auctions, I'm always seeming to get outbid. I've got a little thing. I got a little idea for a video, a little series I'm going to start doing where I may maybe picking up. It's going to involve me picking up some more things locally, kind of out in the wild. So I'm going to have some stuff that I'm going to be collecting coming up doing that. But what I did want to show, the one thing that I could think of, you said, if I have something to show, the one thing I did want to show was I did pick these up while I was in New York. I think I messaged our little chat group that we're in. But I did pick up another pair of Kiss socks,
Nice.
and these they have those faces on them down there.
I've never seen those. I've seen the ones behind you before, but never those. Those are cool.
Yeah, so I've not opened these up yet. I'm planning on it. I mean, I plan on opening these, but yeah. So I picked these up actually at a store in a New York, an I Love New York store right there in Times Square in New York. And I was thought I was walking around. We went in several stores, and I was walking around, and I was like, yeah, we had walked down to the pole at the Dress to Kill pole, and
Yeah,
I got a video I got to put together about that. I haven't had the time, but that video is coming on my channel. If anybody follows my channel and they want to see that, that'll be coming up. But we were walking around in these stores, and we're in New York. We're in Times Square. We're in Manhattan. And I'm like, I have not seen one stinking Kiss thing. We're in New York, and I've not seen anything. And we went in this I Love New York store, and I was walking around, and we were getting like some little souvenirs for people and stuff. So I Love New York, little miniature Statue of Liberties. And I walked over to a sock rack, and as soon as I was walking over to the sock rack, I saw this, and I was like, and I didn't realize what it was at first. And I got up to it, and I'm like, it's a pair of socks. I'm like, I'm getting these.
those are awesome.
So these are from New York.
What's the date on them? Is it 2023, 2022? What's the year?
2022.
Wow.
Kiss catalog under license from Epic Rights. Designed in Canada, manufactured in Canada, under license to Perry's, Perris. But yeah, if anybody's interested, it's the website is www.perris, Perris socks, socks.com.
That's awesome.
So you might be able to go on there, and you might be able to maybe find these on their website.
They look really cool. Again, I've seen the ones and have the ones behind you with the current lineup, but are those Dynasty faces?
Yeah, it's like the faces during the Sure Know Something video.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that is so awesome. I would love to have that. That's pretty cool, man. Good find.
So, like I said, I've not actually opened them up yet, but they look, from what I can tell, they look to be like the faces, like during that part where they're doing the and they've got their faces all together.
Yeah, I can tell it's Dynasty for sure. That's so cool, man.
Yeah,
I've never seen those. Good find.
Yep, and I like the little logo at the top. It's got the little Kiss, and then it's got a couple little red stripes. Gives that little bit of 70s feel. Those the stripes at the top of the socks. Can't tell you how many pairs of white socks I had. The knee-high socks that had the little stripes at the top.
For sure.
Yeah. So it's nice little pickup from there.
For sure. Yeah. What you're showing is cooler than what I've got. I got a few things to show, but this is probably the most pathetic lot of Kiss stuff you'll see in a while. But as Daphne says, right now I'm balling on a budget, so I gotta keep my spending low. But I'm a Kiss fan. I can't not buy Kiss stuff. So today, my best friend's getting married in a month, and so we went out and got our tuxes rented and got fitted and all that. And right around about a block down the road is a record store that I like to go to. And so I thought, hey, would you want to just real quickly walk down there and kind of see what they have? He said, yeah, sure, fine. So we go in there, and at first I picked up a Rock and Roll Over. They had Rock and Roll Over CD on sale for $9. I don't know what the original price was, but I thought, oh, it's on sale. And so I get the CD, and my buddy goes, Xander, you don't need another copy of Rock and Roll Over. From friend to friend, you don't need it. I said, you know what? You're probably right. So I put it down, and instead I got this Kiss keychain that they had.
Oh, and cool.
This one, I actually have bought this exact same one from the exact same place, but it broke. I'm not sure what anybody else's luck with keychains are, but if you can see here, this little metal piece always breaks off. And so I only get about 2 or 3 months use out of a Kiss keychain, but I just could not buy it. So I have to have a Kiss keychain on my key. So I bought a Kiss keychain. I bought a Kiss Army sticker for real cheap. And then I also bought a little Kiss postcard, Kiss Army postcard. So
That's
just
cool.
a couple $1.
Man, you can never have too many stickers.
That's exactly right. I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna, it's only $1 or $2, so why not? I'm gonna treat myself. So yeah, just some small Kiss stuff there. But I like those socks, man. Those are sweet. And anybody watching and listening, your goal is to now tell us your 5 songs that you think did not translate well live, but also what 5 songs do you think did translate well live that Kiss should be playing on this last tour that they're just not. We want to hear from you guys. Please like and subscribe to Kiss Army Things. Head over to In My Head channel. Follow Brant on his channel. Where else can we find you at, sir?
YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search In My Head channel and you can find me.
Perfect. There you go. I love it. Anyway, Kiss Army, thank you so much for joining us on episode 64 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. We will see you again in episode 65. And also stay tuned to, let's see, I think it's Rob's channel, Right Between the Eyes podcast. We're doing a Road to Rosemont series. Brant and I, along with Jeb, along with Nick and Nico, are all going to be getting together, and Emily Graziato. We're all going to be getting together in Rosemont to meet for the first time, see our last Kiss show. So we're doing a series over on Rob's channel called the Road to Rosemont series. So follow us and follow Rob for that. We'll be doing another one here pretty soon. And then we will see you guys episode 65 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. Brant, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man.
Everybody have a good one. Peace out. Rock on.